Hello, and welcome to the third edition of Dayton Opera's Opera Talks with Tom and Friends. We've done, this is the third, as I mentioned, and in the past two editions, we've had veterans from the world of U.S. opera, Gary Briggle, who's a stage director with us, and Gilbert and Sullivan, expert par excellence. That we had a nice discussion with him, and then with the wonderful soprano Cara Shea Thompson, who's done so many iconic roles with Dayton Opera over the years. We had a chat with her, but today we're going to go to the sort of the other end of the spectrum with a young artist that is just emerging into this crazy opera business. And that would be our soprano, Maya Vansuch. Maya was a member of the Artist in Residence program of Dayton Opera this past season. She sang the role of one of the stepsisters in La Cenerentola this past season, the role of Clorinda in that role. And she is about to do a recital as a part of the DPAA Summer Streams on 3 p.m. Sunday, July the 12th. She'll be premiering this recital, and then after that premiere on the 12th, the recital will be available via the DPA website for 45 days. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to catch this wonderful recital and this wonderful young artist. So I'm going to, the other element of today's edition is, of course, my friend and colleague, Sam Dorf, from the music faculty at the University of Dayton. Sam has done a great job on our other two editions in fielding questions and bantering with us, and he will banter again today. And so I'm going to put it back to you, Sam, to get us started with a burning question for us.
A burning question. All right. Well, thanks so much, Tom, and thank you so much, Maya, for joining us in our weird Zoom virtual world. So, in the spirit of talking about weird worlds, Maya, how did you get into opera?
That's a good question. I really have kind of been exposed to music and especially classical music my whole life. And I remember the very first time I was ever exposed to opera was I was about 4 years old, and we were moving, and my mom got a VHS of Hansel and Gretel at the Met, and I was enthralled with that, which that's for a 4-year-old that was kind of different, but it worked. I was really enthralled, and so that opera has a special place in my heart, and that was also the first opera that I ever saw live. And yeah, and I wasn't always sure that I wanted to sing opera because, as a child, you're not sure if you have a talent in that direction or not, but I always loved it. And then after singing in choir for years and then beginning private voice lessons, I just really felt that was what I was meant to do. So yeah.
Your first experience with opera there with Hansel and Gretel was a perfect setup for you. It's a role that you will undoubtedly do many times in your career.
For sure.
Yeah, it's great.
And you mentioned singing in a children's choir. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're from the Dayton area originally, correct?
I am. Yes. Yes. I was raised here. So.
Yeah. So which children's choir was that? Let's give them a shout out.
I was in the Kettering Children's Choir for several years.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we just had some really great collaborations with Dayton Opera. And, it's really great. So Dayton born and raised, undergrad at Bloomington, IU Bloomington, and then you join us back again. You come back home to become part of the Dayton Opera's Artist in Residence program, as Tom mentioned. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of these Artist in Residence programs, and particularly, what did you get out of the Dayton Opera Artist in Residence program generally, and what does it mean to you in terms of your career and personally, and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that these programs are very important in this world because it's hard to make the leap, from just being in school to being thrown into roles, and often, people won't hire somebody who has no experience for a main role because that's just too big a leap. So this kind of program really is helpful for continuing training, but also bridging that gap into the professional world. Yeah, and for me especially, this program was so wonderful because, again, it bridged the gap, but also I got to experience being in the Dayton Opera, which I had been watching in the audience for years, being a Dayton resident. So it was really, really special for me in that way, and I learned so much. I really did, and I'm very excited to have been a part of it.
That's great. Now, Tom, if you can just follow up on that, what does the artist in residence program bring to Dayton Opera generally, aside from
yeah, it's an important part of what we do, encouraging young emerging artists to and give them a chance to hone their craft in a very practical sort of way, because the main function of being a part of this program is actually performing. And of course, the educational programs that they do in the schools are critical for us in a way to introduce opera to young audiences, and to sort of demystify this very mystic sort of art form that we have, to have young and attractive young artists like Maya to be out into the schools and show themselves as to being just regular people who do opera as their profession, and it's great to be able to give them that opportunity to perform a lot. And although this past year our in-school performances were cut short by about 20 performances from what had originally been planned in terms of the program they were doing. So sadly, this past year they weren't able to do the normal run in the schools, and to have those wonderful opportunities to sing to the children. So and also it shows a good faith that we have in training and developing the next group of professional singers to go out and go, after their experience here at Dayton Opera, to go to other opera companies like ours and sing more roles and to expand their careers.
One of the things I really love about the program is that it's the last part, is the idea of them artists in residence, right? So Dayton Opera does, a number of productions every year, but we very rarely have an artist in all three of the main productions of that year. But what's so cool is that the artists in residence really are, like the artists literally in residence here in Dayton that are in each of the major productions in various different ways. And I really have always found it so great to get to know some of these artists and see them around town and see them as not just ambassadors of opera in general, but also Dayton Opera to the greater Dayton community, which has always been really cool to me.
And in addition to using the group that we have for any given year in a production in the course of the season, I have always been very much committed to the fact to bringing back to Dayton Opera singers who have been a part of our artist in residence program in the past years. And it's always gratifying to me to be able to bring them back, and probably in more substantial roles than they might have done while they were initially members of the program. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So Maya, you've got a recital coming up, and It's slightly different this round than maybe previous recitals that you've done before. So,
Sure.
what what can an audience expect from a streaming recital with social distancing and all that other stuff? I mean, are you going to be wearing a mask? What are people going to expect?
Really, it probably won't look that different, aside from the obvious fact of not being in the same room. um, but I didn't wear a mask, and neither did the pianist, so that won't be the part of it. But as far as just a video recital in general, it's not going to be too shockingly different. It's still going to be groups of songs, and I believe with this they're going to have some of the interviewing we did as well worked in. So it'll be interesting to see how that all fits together. But yeah.
Now, is it weird to perform without an audience, or was it in some ways better? I mean, what's that like?
Yeah, it is a little weird. But it's similar to recording audition reels or things like that. You kind of get used to turning it on even when there isn't someone there to watch it, in the hopes that someone will be watching it later.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of envision the audience in front of you and how they would be reacting if they were there. So still bringing the same energy and all that.
That's really interesting. And yes, Maya, don't worry, we'll all be there. We'll watch you. But yeah, I mean, so much of a recital performance for me as an audience member is having that connection with the performer, right? And so I applaud you for creating that connection with an imagined audience, and I think
That's
it's
the
very
goal.
cool as an idea, right? As a performer, to imagine the audience, right? That's super cool to me. So, what comes next after your lovely turn here at Dayton Opera? More virtual recitals? What do you hope to do? What's next?
Sure. I don't have anything specifically scheduled right now, but I'm going to continue just studying for my own development and learning new repertoire, and also, looking for opportunities as I go. So.
Yeah.
I mean, this one of the good things from this pandemic has given people lots of times to maybe prepare new repertoire and to just expand your the number of arias that you have once you are able to be back out on that audition trail, trying to audition for that next opportunity, which is, I mean, and sad to say, I mean, I think it's going to be even a harder road to hoe after we quote get back to normal after the pandemic. But was there anything repertoire-wise that you have started to look at, or anything during this time that it sort of that you wouldn't have otherwise done?
Nothing that I wouldn't have otherwise worked on, but maybe it would have been pushed out to a later date when I had more time. So it's definitely been really nice to have kind of a pause and be able to work on things. And also it's been fun to pull out some old repertoire and kind of revisit it, and just fall back in love with some pieces. So
that's great. So my next question is sort of about opera today, but as we kind of know, opera today is very different, right? But let's think about opera in the future, right? But also maybe of the most recent past. So what trends in opera make you excited about the future of this art form, right? Are there other artists or composers or companies or directors that are doing things that we should all know about?
Yeah, I think in general, the thing that makes me really excited is the fact that opera companies are kind of quote unquote expanding their repertoire, and that can be to musical theater, in some cases. Rodgers and Hammerstein, all the classics, and also to new music, new premieres, which I was very involved in school. I did lots of new music. I was in a new music choir, and it was really cool to me to see what was emerging in the new music realm. And then in combination with all of that, I think that there is a renewed focus on not only the music, but the storytelling and the acting, which is part of what drew me into opera in the first place. And I think that people tend to think that, opera singers stand there and sing for hours and it's really boring. And I love that whole storytelling, acting is really becoming part of the forefront of what opera companies are doing. So
yeah, that is really exciting. And also surviving the pandemic, and it's about technology too, right? And finding new ways and more just innovative ways of presenting material. In one of my friends from undergrad, she and her husband performed a recital on their mother's front lawn, right? The other day, right? They both sing in the Met chorus, but they just for their little cul-de-sac, right? And filmed it in a very cool and innovative way, So and there's a lot to be hopeful for. We're creative people that figure out cool ways to do things. So,
Maya had mentioned about new music and that sort of thing, and of course, it's well known now that Dayton Opera is going to be doing a new opera, Finding Right, and just a little preamble to the information about that work in process. Maya may be involved in that production at some point, along the way. And it's great that a Daytonite can be involved in this opera that is a very Dayton story. So more on that later, but we're excited about the opportunity for new music with Dayton Opera and to bring to life a story. I mean, a wonderful story of Catherine Wright, and that I think will be a great thing for Dayton and for our company.
I'm excited for that too. So I always end with this question, but what are you listening to, right? Like many of us are spending a lot of time at home, and are always looking for new things to listen to or to watch. So what's on your playlist?
Most recently it's actually been Hamilton.
Hey.
With, the new release on Disney Plus. I have been re-listening to that, and I find that really, really exciting. I tend to listen to opera when I have a focus. It's really hard for me to listen to operas without, in the background or things like that. I love it so much that I need to pay attention to it. So just casually Hamilton, but then, operas with a focus. That's my.
So what are you listening to with a focus? Any particular works or new albums that have really, or productions that have stood out to you or that you're excited about studying that you've been listening to?
Nothing in most recent history. I can't think of anything.
What about you, Tom? What's on your playlist?
I continue to catch the streamed productions from the Met. I'm kind of boring on that. I don't listen to music that often outside of the work related music, and but of course opera is not only my vocation, but it's my love. So I find it fulfilling to hear and listen to on so many levels. So, and what about you, Sam?
Well, well, I'm putting together a new course at UD. So we've totally redone our music history curriculum. So I am deep into curricular design. So I've been listening to a lot of cool stuff, getting ready for teaching in the fall in various different forms. So I've been listening to, one of the things I'm interested in doing for this course is sort of thinking about performance and history and performance as a form of interpreting history. So I've been listening to, in terms of opera, multiple, performances of various different Handel arias by countertenors and female altos, and transcribed for soprani, and Joyce Di Donato singing it in a lounge style. So those are the kinds of, that's what I was literally working on yesterday, sort of figuring out what that Handel section is going to be like. Or actually, it might have been Vivaldi. It might have been this Vivaldi aria instead, but they're all good. But yeah, I'm always interested in what cool new things we can do and how we can throw out the old stuff and reimagine it anew. It's always
cool. And hopefully Dayton Opera will get back to Baroque, since we had to cancel our going for Baroque production, but we'll get back to it sometime, hopefully in the not too distant future. And that's good repertoire for you too, Maya. I mean, that Handel and Baroque stuff is
absolutely
perfect kind of stuff for you. Yeah.
I was obsessed with Purcell about like a month ago. I was just like going through like, Dido and Aeneas, Fairy Queen, King Arthur. Just wanted to listen to all of it, as well as all the viol music, because I play viol too. But yeah, there's
not VILE, but VI.
Well, Tom, if you hear me, you'll recognize that it's pretty vile when I.
Yeah.
That's why I do the talking thing and not the playing.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tom. Remind us again when and how people can hear Maya's recital.
Well, by going to the DPAA, DaytonPerformingArts.org, and look for the summer streams, and you can sign up, register there, and have access to her recital, which premieres at 3 p.m. on Sunday, July the 12th. But if you don't happen to be able to be there at that for the premiere, it will continue to be up and available for 45 days after starting on July the 12th. Again, Maya and her wonderful pianist, John Benjamin, also a UD faculty member, they will be collaborating in music of Donizetti, Giannini, Richard Strauss, Rossini, Douglas Moore, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Jerome Kern, Meredith Willson, and of course, Giacomo Puccini. So, I mean, it's a wonderfully varied program and wonderfully sung, and I think that everyone will find the opera's offering in the Summer Streams series as a really fulfilling way. And to spend the Sunday afternoon, July the 12th at 3 p.m. With Maya and John. So it should be a great experience for us all. So
sounds great. Well, thank you both so much, and we'll see you at the stream.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
And join us again for another Opera Talks with Tom and Friends, and we'll see what comes next. Thank you.